Thank you so much for talking to Covai Post, Mr. Venkat.
Thank you for having me, Vidya.
Yeah. So Bitwise is an artificial intelligence-driven adaptive e-learning platform. So why do you think this is important for school and college students?
So that's a really important question, Vidya. So schools and colleges are doing a great job, teaching students a lot of courses, but the basic educational system has not greatly changed in the last several decades, actually. But the opportunities of the future, technology is evolving so rapidly and changing so rapidly that in order to prepare the students for the future, we need to expose them to a lot of emerging technology areas. So Bitwise is important because we are actually focusing on applied computer science and STEM related emerging technologies and building courses that involve multiple disciplines, and for students to get exposed to that and also discover what areas interest them, where do they want to focus their future on. It's very important. And we also want to promote lifelong learning habits in students right from an early age. So for that reason, we have started building curriculum and content across all age groups, all schools and college students, with an aim to get them involved earlier in emerging technology and STEM courses.
Okay. So what are your plans for India? If you could also brief us a little bit, if you could introduce us to where you're from. Basically, you have a company in India as well, in Coimbatore?
So I'm based in the Bay Area, and we do have offices here in Coimbatore. So the company is basically spread across the United States and India at the moment. So our market is global, because the problems that we see today in terms of education and exposure to multidisciplinary emerging technology areas, it's actually widespread. So the same problems that exist in the United States are also prevalent here in India, in Singapore, in Canada. It's prevalent all over the world. So we are not limiting ourselves to any single market. Although we launched in the United States, we are actually planning expanding this year to India and to other markets, and actually address the global problem that we see in terms of education and exposure to multidisciplinary, applied STEM and emerging technology areas.
Okay. How is Bitwise different from platforms like Udemy, Udacity, and other such platforms?
So Vidya, that's a great question, because these days we have seen a proliferation of e-learning platforms and courses, and e-learning is nothing new. It's been there for a long time. We used to call them computer-based training, CBT, etc. So Bitwise is really unique. We want to disrupt e-learning as we have seen it over the past 10-20 years. E-learning has been relatively stagnant. It's been mostly videos that have been produced and put out there for people to consume. So how Bitwise is different from traditional e-learning environments is that we are using artificial intelligence and machine learning technology to understand how students are learning, focus on their learning styles, understand various, we collect a lot of data points, and we have built sophisticated algorithms that allow us to personalize and adapt the learning to each individual student. So each of us learn concepts at a different pace. We learn things at varying rates and levels, and so a one-size-fits-all program or a video-driven course alone is not going to be effective or sufficient. In fact, there are a lot of problems that plague traditional e-learning. The dropout rates, course completion rates, I can go on and on. So we actually want to disrupt e-learning and address a lot of these current issues, and at the same time we want to develop the love of learning in each student.
Okay. Now, having said that, how would you assess your success rate?
So success is something that's ongoing, right? How do you define success? So if I were to take your question as success rate is completion percentage, then most of the e-learning platforms are struggling today in terms of success rates. If success rate means, hey, how do the students do in the future, who's tracking these students over several years to determine what they did today is going to make them successful. So I don't believe that there is any real true definition of success rate today and what those metrics are. But one thing I can tell you is that from the point of view of Bitwise Academy, we don't want students to just come and do one course or one lesson. We do want them to understand, that if they are going to pursue a particular area, a multidisciplinary field, we want students to first of all discover what interests them. And once they discover what interests them, we need them to pursue that. We really want them to do lifelong learning so that they can incrementally acquire knowledge. They can also figure out if they want to learn something different, if they want to combine different fields. So to me, a success rate is defined by if a student, discovers what they really want to do. Because ultimately, that's what makes everybody happy, that everybody wants to be truly doing what they believe that they love. And if we can help students discover that, that's when I would consider that we have been truly successful.
Okay. So why AI-driven learning?
So, well, it doesn't have to be AI-driven learning, right? We have been learning in the traditional way all this time, and even e-learning has been around for a long time. But right now, the artificial intelligence technologies have reached a point where it is possible to leverage and harness AI to make a difference in how we can impact e-learning. So that's why it's AI-driven learning. So using artificial intelligence and harnessing the power of machine learning algorithms, we can truly understand how a student is learning, their learning styles. We can adapt and personalize the courses to that student. We want to maximize the learning potential of every student. And just a one-size-fits-all, will not be able to do that. And since artificial intelligence-based technologies have reached a maturity level that they can be adopted and solutions can be built, very successful solutions can be built. About 5 years ago, we started doing research with AI. And then over the last few years, we have been able to successfully harness AI for e-learning.
Okay. So does Bitwise conduct training in schools and colleges?
So Bitwise, today is an e-learning platform. It's an online learning platform. We have taught a lot of in-person courses. We have taught a lot of live courses. And I've taught, at schools and colleges myself. So we are not averse to teaching. In fact, our platform supports the ability to teach live, to host classrooms online. So that's definitely an area that we want to also promote. But to go into a classroom and specifically teach inside a classroom, we'll have to visit that on a case-by-case basis. And we would actually, frankly, love to enable teachers, with the right material and the right, content, so that the teachers can be facilitators in schools, and we could actually augment that with workshops. That would actually be truly effective in terms of teaching, live in schools and colleges.
Okay. So, are your courses recognized by the industry?
So our courses are cutting-edge, multidisciplinary programs. Such courses do not exist anywhere. So we have to actually be the standards bearer, in terms of developing curriculum and content that would be very effective in terms of bringing students from schools and colleges along into emerging technology areas. So the type of courses and content that we build, you can't just go and buy a book, or you can't just go and say I want to attend a video lecture. Just not possible. In fact, we are constituting a board of education, and we are getting teachers and world-renowned professors to join our board of education, so that we can have a review process and we can continue to improve the curriculum and the content that we are developing. And we are developing it across multi-years of research and folks from different backgrounds. So we are actually, I believe that we are actually building truly unique content, and hope to set the standards actually for the type of courses that we are building.
Okay. So where do you see yourself 5 years down the line in India?
Well, 5 years is a long time, in the technology world. So what I would really love for is the students in India, to develop a love for learning emerging technologies, get exposure to the technologies and the areas that are going to be, the mainstream of society in 5 years' time. So if you look at, traditional computer science, in order to apply that traditional computer science and also the emerging data science, there are a lot of areas that are relevant, like 3D printing, robotics, space exploration, virtual reality, And of course, AI and data science itself being applied to many areas. Smart cities. So I can go on and on. So these are all emerging areas. And in 5 years' time, I would love for students in India to be able to enter these fields and be prepared to enter these fields.
Okay. Thank you so much for talking to Covai Post.
Thank you very much.
To get instant news updates, like the Covai Post page. Click on See First to view the news first. Also, in YouTube, subscribe to Covai Post channel to watch interesting news and videos.